Hello,
Cool.
welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. Let me see. There we go. All right. Cool. Hey, Ruben.
Hey, Darius. Hello, thanks for joining.
Cool. Okay. So, Ruben, you have any items you want to run by us really quick before we jump into some of the items here?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is sharing our is having this this open door into our lives and what we're going through, and having that be part of our story. And I think that when we share our story, there's a connection to it, right? In fact, there's a lot of neuroscience that shows that when we speak as a story, as opposed to a lecture, the engagement level is skyrocketed because people are actually following us as we tell the story as if they are on the journey. And there's a lot of data that backs this up as to why storytelling is the oldest and, in fact, the most effective form of communication. So, the thing that we always like to remind people and inspire them to do is to share your stories. You know, when you record a video, you have an opportunity to share a story. But there's this one really important thing that I have to stress, which is that ultimately, when you storytell, the storytell is not about just telling your story. It's about inspiring the person. It's about entertaining the person. It's about affecting change and motivating them to take action to do something and really making the story about them. And I think the best storytellers on the planet are the ones that understand this one thing. And the person that I learned this most from is actually my father, who actually passed away on March 12th, and which has been a journey for me. But one of the things that I would love to share with you all is that just even as a child growing up, watching him communicate with people in the back of taxis and traveling on his journeys and basically meeting strangers, is he always had the ability to share a story from his perspective on life and his human experience, but ultimately making the story about the person, making them entertained and making them laugh and making them feel inspired and sometimes even crying. And I want to inspire you all to do the same thing when you record a video, to share your stories about what you're going through. Because after all, we're all imperfect and we're all going through trials and tribulations. But it's those vulnerabilities and those realities of our human experience that make us connectable to other people. So I say do the best job you can to share your stories, to share your legacies, to connect people, and to do just good things. That's what my dad taught me, and I would love to share that information with you. Thank you again for joining us, and it's great to have you guys.
Thank you, Ruben. Beautiful. Thank you. And you know what? I couldn't have said it better. And also, I want to transition some of the training today, guys, into exactly one of these because there's your story to tell, right? Your significance and the things you want to share with others, but there's also your clients' stories, right? Their success stories, the journey they've overcome with you and your help and your services. And then there's a way to share that, right, to benefit everybody. And in fact, that's what I want to cover today. I've met with some of our Pro Plus customers, and I will say one thing that's sort of not everybody. Some people have some really good video testimonials, but most people don't. And so in today's training, guys, I want to actually cover a specific training on capturing video testimonials. There's a lesson in the library about this, but I figure it's worth covering in real time for those of you guys that are here, just as a remotivation to incentivize you guys to go collect some really good video testimonials, but in a new way with this specific angle that Ruben just described, which is a powerful story, right? A lot of the training, in fact, that I ask them to tell a story. But I think what we can even do is help them craft a story, right? We can give them some pointers and stuff. I'm going to cover this, guys, how to do it technically and sort of strategically as part of today's training. I did have some other people. They didn't exactly book an open mic. They booked kind of an open mic, but they knew they wouldn't be here today. And in fact, some of the stuff they wanted to cover is on automation and reporting. So I'm going to also incorporate that into the part of the lesson that I'm going to be teaching for you guys today. So the two individuals that we had for open mics, I'm gonna be covering their trainings for today. They weren't able to make it, but if there's anyone else that's here live today that has a topic they'd like to cover strategically, technically, You want us to review something of yours, by all means, you can either go submit an open mic form now while we're waiting, or you can drop something into the Q&A. I do answer the questions in the order that they received. So if you have something, please drop it into the chat, the Q&A, and then I'll be able to get to it in the proper order. Okay, so before I jump into today's lessons, I want to just cover a couple of quick items here, general housekeeping stuff. If you guys, this is your first time in this session, or if you're first time maybe watching one of these recordings, we're going to have some specific labels on the past lessons so you guys can go back and watch one. This one's going to be focused on testimonials. So anyway, first thing first is how to make sure you're a part of the program, how you can participate, and how you can consume the curriculum and even the past trainings. For now, it's still in this community section right here under community forum. Click join, and then there's going to be welcome to Dubb Coaching right here near the top. And in this section, just scroll up, you're going to find these same resource links. I show this, guys, because it's likely going to move at some point. So for now, it's here. One of the things we're going to be talking about today is on this training showcase, there is how to collect testimonials, right? This is essentially what we're going to be covering, but I'm going to cover a few different angles on it today, which is the ability to automate it, but also this idea of using it to capture what Ruben was just discussing, which is a compelling story. Testimonials, guys, are definitely a quality over quantity, right? You could have one really good testimonial, and that's going to do far more in inspiring and motivating people than if you had a bunch of like okay testimonials. So that's why I want to focus on today. Anyway, the rest of this course, or the rest of the curriculum, guys, there's a ton of valuable information here: testimonials, automations, emails, text messages, video pages. This one's super important. I can't actually stress this one right here enough. If you guys are sending emails, I need you to watch this video. I connect with a lot of people. They come in here, they come in our individual sessions, and we're like, hey, what's happening with our opens? We need better deliverability. Check out this video, guys. I promise you it's going to help you get up to speed onto how you can monitor, maintain, and improve your deliverability, which ultimately increases your results. And this is something that you should do sooner than later, right? It's not something like, oh, it's okay for now, just keep it going. Just like set the foundation of really good deliverability so that you can maintain it and improve it and monitor it moving forward. Okay, it's curriculum, super important, guys. I don't want you to skip that. Whenever you have time, come consume some of that. There's also the open mic sessions, which we have 2 people today that booked, but they're not able to attend. So we're going to cover some of their stuff in the recording. We can do the same for you guys. If you give me a heads up, if you book an open mic, you're not able to attend, and you just send me an email, say, I can't attend, but I'd like you to cover it. I will cover it in the recording as well, if you give me a heads up. Otherwise, I usually skip it and wait till you're there. So open mic sessions for participation, the showcase for all the past or the curriculum, and then the past sessions here, previous coaching sessions are also on a showcase with all the previous lessons here, with some titles specific, some not so much. So anyway, that is essentially the course material right now. We also have these live sessions twice a week, so that you can register for those here. Okay, so guys, we have the curriculum, we have the support. You know where to get support, where to ask, what to do, live chat, these trainings, the daily trainings, and more. So if you need help with anything at all, do be sure to reach out and book an open mic here. Okay, without further ado, guys, I'm gonna switch gears here really quick to the lesson that I wanted to share with you guys today, which is this idea of capturing video testimonials. I also want to have the significance of the story component, because it does, as Ruben mentioned, it elevates a message, a lecture, a thing from a flat to a really emotional, a roller coaster, if you will, right? Because a story can sort of have a low point where, when I met this client, they were here, or the client, when I met you, the service provider, I was here in a place where I needed help. And then we got this resolution, this amazing service, product, whatever it is. And then now we're in a better place. So that's the journey. That's the arc that we want to tell in a story, so that when people watch this, when they listen to that, they can imagine themselves, just like Ruben mentioned, they can imagine themselves going through that same arc. So this is the idea, guys. I'm going to start with some of the very basics, because this shouldn't be super new to most of you guys here, but just in case it is, I want to cover the sort of step by step. The very first step, guys, when you watch the training here recorded on this, the very first step is always to record your request for the testimony. So there's several different ways to do this, right? There's a lazier way to do it, or a more automated, a more scalable way, I should say, which is where you're not actually requesting a specific name, right? This I'm going to start with the more generic, but I'm going to recommend the other one because everyone wants to go automation generic. So I'll start with that use case, but I'll provide the caveat here that the result is not going to be as great or as high or as much as if you did these individually. So if you had like a really good client that's your ICP, right? You all should know what that means. You have a really good client that's your ICP and they had a tremendous experience, then this is what you should do for them personally. But let's say you guys have a past bunch of clients you've closed in the past and you're like, well, I haven't even spoken to them in a year. Maybe I don't do the personal request. That's what I'm going to start with. Now, one of the things you guys will learn from the other trainings there too about how to personalize your emails, about how to get better results on your email campaigns is about how to make the thumbnail look interesting, right? Thumbnails are one of the trainings. So because I'm not reaching out to a specific person, I might just say something like this, small favor. And so instead of small favor, John, right, I'm going to do something generic. Now with the other type of the edge of this training, the scope of this training, the lens, I should say, is this storytelling component where we're going to ask for a small favor, but in the request, we're going to either, like, let's say if this is the standard, right? This is a generic thing. It's going to everybody. You should have a sort of standard operating procedure within your business, right? You speak to a lead, to a contact, or somebody, they go through some process, they become a customer, and then they have some result, right? And you should only be collecting testimonials from people that have had a really good outcome. That way you have a good video here. But if you like, because this is generic, you have to have sort of a standardized process that goes through a story. Let's just take, for example, real estate, right? Hey, so real estate is the example here. We're going to do just a quick thing. Hey there, it's Darius. I was wondering if you could do me a little tiny favor. Do you remember when we first started working together? You guys were looking for a house and you guys were having just a little bit of trouble. And once we started working together, we looked at some homes, we got you qualified. And overall, you told me the experience was tremendous. It was much better than buying your last house. And so my small favor to ask is if you could do me a favor and just tell me a little story of what it was like, where you were before we met, and then the journey of us working together, and then ultimately where you guys are at today. Just tell the full story of where you've landed and how it was working with me. And of course, if you recommend others to work with me and my team as well. So greatly appreciate your time. Thanks again for your help, and looking forward to speaking with you soon. Something like that, right? Now what I said here was very generic because that's what this example was, right? I didn't say John. I didn't say, hey, John Smith and your family you're a VA and we went through this VA competitive process, like none of that, right? Because it's generic. Unless you're dealing with specifically VAs, then you could customize this request even further, right? The idea with automation, with scale, is you want to try to speak as specifically to these people as you can. Further to nuance this, if you had 5 VA type customers, you could put all 5 of those VA type customers into the same testimonial collection where you're speaking with them as a VA type customer. VA is like veterans for real estate people. So, but if you're in your own business, right, maybe you have a different type of product or a different type of service or a different ICP that you've delivered on. This is where I'm going to recommend scaling this type of testimonial request where it's not just one generic video for every single person, but you try to segment your automations as much as you possibly can. Let's say, just a further example, if you have a lot of clients and you have 5 of them named John, then you could actually do this. Small favor, John. And then you could put all your Johns through that same workflow. The idea that I'm sharing with you guys here, though, is 2. One is even in automation, you want to try to be as personalized as possible, where it doesn't seem like you sent this request to 1,000 or 100 or 10 other people. It seems like you sent it to 1. That's the idea with an automation. The second thing there is the idea of capturing a story where you've asked them specifically to tell you a narrative of where they were after you, and then where they are now. Again, with the generic request here, it's a little bit more difficult unless you have a very standard procedure. Like for Dubb, it's like, well, when you guys first started working with us, you didn't have a video strategy, right? And so after working together, we implemented automations and we built out video strategies. And now we have our conversion rates 2x and our sales have doubled in a single year, right? Like that's the story. That's the narrative. We were struggling, we implemented, and now we're in a better place. So if your business, again, not real estate, but if your business is more like that, where you have a client that goes through a process and has a result, this is the same story that you're looking to collect. So two very important things, guys, when considering testimonial collection. First is if you're automating it, try to break it down, right? Don't try to dump everyone to one in one bucket if possible. You want to try to segment those groups as specifically as you can. And the second piece is that story, that arc. So this, guys, what I just covered was how to create a request that's going to be put into an automation or into like a campaign where this is one request to multiple people to get them to respond with the testimonial. And this is only the first half, just the request. I'm going to come to the second part of this, which is sharing and collecting and follow up as well. Okay, one other piece of this. This was the bulk collection that I just covered. Now I'm going to come and really drill down on the specific testimonial collection. So you have a client, right? A very specific client, John, in this case. And with John, you guys went through something, a specific thing happened, right? John had this problem that you can go back and look in your notes. They didn't have the budget that they needed. They were struggling with these certain KPIs, whatever those things are, where they were. You provide that to them and say, hey, John, remember when we first started talking together and you had these specific problems? You're going to feed that information to them again and ask them to mention it so that it's part of the narrative. It's part of the story. People will often, if you ask someone like a client to say, hey, tell us the full story, they're going to say, oh, well, we wanted better opens. And then so we started using video and then now we have better opens. That doesn't really twist the knife. That doesn't really explain the problem, right? It doesn't have an emphasis on the first part. So you want to make that easy for them to do. It's hard to ask someone to expose themselves and their weakness or in the difficulties they may have been having. But when you present it for them in a way that's easy to say, remember when we started talking together and you explained this? They're like, yeah, okay, I can say that. So that would be my other piece of advice here is when you're collecting a specific testimonial, which is my best recommendation, guys. If you want a really good testimonial from somebody, you're going to ask specifically for them and you're going to give them the components to make a really good story, like where they were, the information they told you, the problems they were struggling with, what you guys did, the actual things that took place to get them to where they wanted to be. And then lastly, where they're actually at today in their own words, right? We're in an amazing place. We've doubled our sales. We got the dream home, whatever that result is. So what you've done in this specific request is you've given them everything that you've needed, everything they need to give you it back. I'm now going to cover, guys. So this is just the video itself, right? Just the video. You've included the components for the specific request and you said, hey, John, tell me the story about you and your family, how we went through and it's a very specific. Or starting with part one, it was the generic. Okay, just a quick pause there. I'm going to now move into the second half of this, guys, which is how to set up the page and then how to set up automation, sharing, and tracking, and then some reporting pieces. But if there's any questions, guys, on anything that I've covered so far, just drop it into the chat or the Q&A. I'm going to come back and answer these. If it's unrelated to this, that's fine too. I'll circle back at the end. But I just want to make sure if you have something, questions or thoughts or whatever feedback, drop it in there because I'm gonna keep going here on this component, and then we'll put a pause and then answer questions. So, all right, we just covered the two different ways to record, specific and generic. Now, I'm actually going to do the next step here. Hey there, John, do me a favor, testimonial, please. Information's below. That's not the right script, but I'll come back and show you guys what I'm going to do here. I mentioned giving verbal cues, right, as to the story they should tell, the beginning, the middle, the end of the journey. And maybe they have to rewatch the video, but we can also put this here in the description. So tell the story. Beginning, you had X, right? Some problem. Middle, we did Y. And you are now Z. These are just typed notes so that while your customer is looking at your request, they can say, oh, yeah, that's what he wants me to do. So that way it's both verbally in the video as instruction, also as written instruction, right? It's almost like a mini teleprompter where they can sort of look at it as cues. Oh yeah, he wanted this piece, and that piece. My example here, guys, is just to show that you want to give them as much ammunition, as much comfort, as much objection handler as we can here, right? Like, I don't remember what to say. Or I don't know what to say. I don't know what he wants, or it was too much to remember. Just make it very easy for them. explain it for them, give them what you want them to say, type it out for them to reiterate it. Another example that I always recommend, guys, is including another testimonial. This isn't always possible. If it's your first testimonial, obviously you don't have one to share. But if you already have one, you can include that as a playlist as an example. And they can see, oh, well, you know what? Okay, he just sat right at his desk and just did a little video. That's not that hard. I can do that. I can say this at my desk. So these different examples here, the typed out instruction, the verbal instruction, and maybe an example in the playlist are all the elements that I would include on a video request to just help make it easier, right? Because that's ultimately, they have some reason why they didn't do it. And this is going to help them overcome those things. So what else goes on this page? The given one that we always need, guys, is the video reply button. Everyone has one of these by default, right? You all have a video reply button in your account. It's just a matter of connecting it to your video page here. And so once that's done, there's, of course, the button for video reply. Now, one other thing here, guys, if you are aware of a really common sales tactic, which is you tell them the high price thing right here, thing's $1,000. You actually want them to buy the $500 one, though. So like, oh, that's a little expensive. Maybe I want, what's the other thing? And then you say the 500 and they're like, oh, that's awesome. The strategy of that here applies to, instead of a video testimonial, you may also want a Google review button or a website review or something like that. I don't always recommend this. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because some people thrive off Google reviews. They're extremely valuable, right? It can help your web presence, your SEO. Google reviews are great, or other reviews in other locations can potentially help this in a similar way. The reason I don't like it here is it distracts, right? It's another CTA. It's a hole in the boat, is what we might say, where they're like, oh, well, I have a way out. The reason I do like it is because not everyone's going to be willing to do a video testimonial, right? Just no matter what, that time of day, they're video phobic or whatever it is, they're just not willing or able to do a video testimonial. In which case, if Google testimonial or Google reviews are extremely valuable for you, I would have that as like a fallback, as a secondary, or as an addition. If Google reviews are extremely valuable for you, I would in fact instruct them to do both. Say, hey, do me a small favor, John, send me this quick testimonial video. And then if you could also leave a Google review. And so this depends on your audience, the specific person. If you send this testimonial request and they're like, hey, you know what, I'm too shy to do a video. Great. They responded, give them a link for Google. The idea here, though, is it's an ability to capture a conversion of some value. If you have no interest in Google reviews, don't put it here ever, right? It's going to just detract from the result that you want. If Google reviews are really valuable for your business and you find that your audience is not responding well to video testimonial collection, then I would put the B option there as an alternative, as a way where you're still capturing valuable content from them. They still feel like they're involved, but not having to provide the testimonial if they're unable to. So this AI chat, I might actually incorporate that there, where answer some questions about that. I've had people tell me their questions are, can I review this before it's finished, right? And the answer is yes. Like, yeah, you can review it here. Maybe they say, are you going to publish this? Like, if you wanted to set up a specific AI for testimonial, that's a new thing. That's not incorporated in the training, but I imagine could even help your conversions further if you had some AI around your testimonial collection. So this is the first two parts, guys, of collecting testimonials and or reviews with Dubb. Is the creation of the request itself should be heartfelt, should be as specific as possible, should be as descriptive as possible so that you're going to get what you want from your clients. Now, we've also covered the video page with the obvious button, maybe a second not so obvious button, some descriptions, some examples, everything that we need to help them overcome their fear and give us what we need to help our business. So now, guys, the last part of this training is the distribution of these videos. If you have your client's phone number, I'm always going to recommend that you text message them this request first, because people are much more likely to respond to a text message than they are an email. It's just a statistical thing out there right now. Much more likely to open and click and respond via text message. Also, every single person's phone these days has a camera on it. So and they can record wherever they are, right? They can record a video from anywhere. So that is the number one reason why I always recommend texting it first. Secondarily, I always recommend also an omni-channel approach. If you have an email, a LinkedIn, a text message, and you're trying to get a conversion from somebody, I would usually recommend to reach out to them via all channels. You can retarget them, you can call them, text them, email, do everything, right, to get their attention. until you get the no, right? Until they've said, I'm not interested. So with those two schools of thought in mind, I would say text message them first if you have the number. If you don't have a text message, then of course, email it to them directly in a one-to-one setting. Those are my first and foremost recommendations because that's the best opportunity to get it right into their inbox, to get it right in front of them in the best way possible. One-to-one email, meaning directly through your email client as a one-to-one email, or a text message, or both. And then lastly, social media, a DM through LinkedIn, a DM through whatever platform you're connected with them on. WhatsApp is even acceptable. It's straight to their mobile. So that's my first recommendation, guys, is the direct. Even if you're doing the generic one, like we said, and you're just recycling that video, if it's just one at a time, I would still recommend sending it directly through a text, through a one-to-one email, or through a DM. Those are the methods that I recommend the most because it's going to have the highest deliverability, the best response rate, and best conversions just overall. Now, there's, of course, a much more scalable way to do this, though. Many of us have lots of clients, lots of customers, and we're way too busy to do what we're talking about here with the John piece. So now I'm going to come back just into the way to automate this. There are actually two ways, at least, to automate Dubb video testimonial collection. One of these ways is internal inside of Dubb. So there is a workflow specific, guys, for testimonial collection, which is going to be video replied. So the first thing that you want to do is build the workflow, right? Well, actually, this is all going to be dependent upon all the steps that I just covered. So you've already recorded a request, set up your page, all those things are ready to go. Now what we're going to be doing is building a workflow that automatically sends emails to folks if they did not respond to your video. So I'll delete this one later, but we label it. So automatically send a request for testimonial if they don't reply. That's basically what this workflow is going to be. And in this case, maybe we'll just do a tag. So, and then we'll add a tag, which will be like testimonial, collect testimonial or something, right? Doesn't actually matter. Let's see. I don't want to add that tag, but you would add a tag. When they meet this tag criteria, that's what's going to trigger this workflow. The first step, I always recommend adding a delay, right? In case every automation training I say, put a 5-minute delay just to buy yourself some time in case you hit the wrong tag or button. That's a given. But then after that is where your first request for that email that we just created. We made the video, we made an automated email, and now we're going to send email number 1, which is collect testimonial. Boom. Now, if you guys are aware of the if-then behaviors, you always need a delay before the if-then. So I'm going to always give it at least 1 day. If you guys are using any behavioral-based automation, it always needs a day before the if-then. If I don't have a delay before that, it's going to send the email and then immediately check if they responded to my testimonial request. Of course, it's going to be no 100% of the time, right? Because I just sent it. But now if I add the delay, it's at least going to give the system 1 day to check. Did they respond to this video, yes or no? And of course, if they did not, that's when you would send the next email. Now, I don't recommend sending a testimonial request every single day. That's a little bit heavy, unless you just spoke with them and they said, yeah, I'll totally get it to you. And then they don't, then you might remind them more frequently. Otherwise, if this is like I said, you have 20 past clients, you haven't spoken to them in a while, and you're just dropping them into this automation, I would not recommend doing it every day. Something like every 3 days, maybe once a week, a slower drip, unless, again, you've had a specific conversation and they've said, yes, I'll totally give that to you. Then it could be more frequent, like every day for a week or something. Otherwise, I'm going to recommend a longer delay, like 3 days or so. So did they give us a testimonial within those 3 days? No. Okay. Well, let's send them the next email, which is send collection number 2. Now here, guys, I only recorded the first collection. And in fact, one of our customers has Bill, he's here. He's actually done something. He talked to Rob. He got some ideas here. We have to get a little bit creative when we have a sequence of requests, right? If you guys watch the automation training, you'll see the very first thing I talk about is provide value. If you put someone doing an automation, you don't just say, hey, you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy? That's annoying. It's going to get you unsubscribed. It's going to go to junk. It's terrible, right? For everybody. So don't do that. Same thing with a testimonial request. Unless they specifically said, yeah, I'm totally going to give it to you. Just remind me. Great. Then just pester them because they've already said yes. Most of the time, that's not the case. And in those cases where they haven't already said yes, then we need to be a little bit creative in the request for the testimonial, where you can say, maybe it's a give get, like, hey, I'd love to get a testimonial from you if we could have a quick strategy call or something like that. There's a give get opportunity where you're offering them something in exchange for the testimonial. You can be creative, like humor, right? You can Bill was actually given a strategy where it's like, be humorous, right? Like, oh, tears, emojis, or sad face or something. You said you'd give me one, but I still didn't get one from you yet. There's different angles we can sort of play on automating this request. But what I don't want you guys to do is just be super lazy and say, hey, you didn't send your request yet. And the subject is, you didn't send your testimonial yet. And the body is, you didn't send your testimonial yet. Click here to send it. That's not going to go over really good, right? Instead, if it would say, hey, we're looking to help more families and you're an integral part of this, check out this video to see how you can help more families like yourself. They're like, what? Well, okay, maybe I'm feeling altruistic. Versus the, can you give me a testimonial? No, right away. So there's those ideas of being a little bit creative in an automation where you can't have the same subject line repeated. You don't want the same body, and you don't want it to be just the selfish request. Same rules, want to provide value, even in a little bit. It is kind of selfish, right? You're asking for the testimonial. Does it benefit them directly? Not exactly. But again, you want to try to angle it where you can provide some value to them. So the last thing, guys, is to kick this whole thing off. Drop your contacts into your workflows. And one of the other tickets here that was mentioned is reporting, guys, how to check on your workflows. There's two different ways to look at your workflows, at least. One is in the workflow itself, we can see how many steps took place, how many emails were sent, how many clicks did that result in. So we can see 200 emails, 31 clicks. We're at a 12, 13, whatever percent click-through rate. Pretty high, not bad. It's not 2%, it's not 5%. It's okay. So we can also view results. So if you guys are wondering, like, is this automation even working? Is it running? What's happening? You can click view results and you can see, now, of course, this was just built, so nobody's in it, but you can see here, you will be able to see here, everybody that's currently enrolled in an automation, which step. You can filter by specific steps and see who's at that step. You can filter by if they're finished or stopped or running. And then, of course, you can export the results from here as well. And then lastly, there is the reporting, guys. In the reporting section here, you can filter by specific activities, views, watches, clicks, and then you can export that. And in a CSV, you could filter, alphabetically sort, whatever, and then you could see specific engagements or activity on the specific steps within the automations. So, right, like this is a send video email drip. So I know that that's one of my drip sequence emails, one of my automations. So I'll have a report on that. So the other thing, guys, is we're going to be providing some new reporting for automations. So I just want to cover what's available today, and stay tuned because we're going to be upgrading automation reporting in the near future. Anyway, that's the full story, guys, for how there's always more to tell, but that's a pretty full story of how to collect testimonials, guys, either manually, which I recommend the most, right? Small favor, John, or a little bit more scalable, where you can put these into a Dubb automation. You can even put something into your third-party tool. If you have like some other automation in like a Go High Level or HubSpot or whatever it is, you could put it in there. The only thing is you can't automate if the video was received or not. That's a Dubb internal thing, unless you guys are using Zapier. So if anyone is using a third-party automation tool and needs to do what I just showed with the automatic video testimonial collection, checking if they gave a testimonial or not, let me know. I can record a separate thing. It's going to get really in the weeds and very technical. So only want to cover that if necessary. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to me there for, 30 minutes or so. But anyways, I tremendously recommend you guys implement this strategy we just talked about today. If you don't have amazing testimonials already, turn it on. It's time to get some. They make fantastic social posts. They boost every video page for client development. They can boost your website. There's like every piece of marketing material you can share that this is going to be elevated through that. So Jai, your comments first. There you go. Yeah. Thanks, Jai.
Hey, hey, Darius. Hey, quick question. Man, you was on that. If you can just do it one more time. Oh, people calling me. You know how we put the name in the body?
Mhm.
I'm writing it down this time. I didn't my camera ain't on, but you can see I'm writing it down. How do what is that little cheat code, and how do I get to it to put the name in the body?
You're saying the
Uh,
token, the merge field,
yeah,
right?
that thing. Yeah, Mercefield.
Okay. And where are you? Is it through a campaign, through an automation, or through just like a video email?
I just regular one. They do it automatically. Mhm.
Okay. So because there's several places here, I'll
And
cover the.
on the preset.
Um.
Yeah,
Okay.
so right there, you go to details.
Oh, you're saying so on the landing page
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right
yeah,
here. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that's right here under details, and then in the description.
Wait, wait, let me write it down.
Yep.
So okay,
Details.
I go to that cheat sheet, right?
This guy. Well, this
Yep,
this the, you only need this if you want to do some fancy things.
that's
The
one of the names. Just the
Yeah,
name.
the cheat sheet is going to cover like if you want to do like H1, like a bold heading, followed by a subheading that's smaller, followed by some italics, and then you want
No,
to put the image there.
no,
That
but I want the name. The name, like like you showed us before.
so I understand. So this doesn't currently support tokens. So
I thought
like
he did.
no. So yeah, great question there. He's asking this like first dot name. I actually just spoke with our developer guys last week about some really cool stuff on this particularly. You guys are getting a little sheet or whatever secret window into this. We can actually support some parameters like on the button where it says video for John and his first name token there. I just spoke with our developers last week about this. So, Jai, to answer your question, this isn't supported currently. The reason why is because if I share this link, there is no contact associated with this video right now. So there's no ability for Dubb to know whose name goes here. The only way Dubb's going to know whose name goes here is if I come here and I add the email for tracking, because now all of a sudden you're going to see the URL contains information. You see it says contact equals. So now Dubb can tell who this video is for. And now Dubb could swap in Darius's first name here. But if I have,
Oh,
if I have nothing here, it's not going to be able to do that. So Jai, to answer your question very specifically, this is not supported as of today. I did just confirm with the developers that this is possible, and we're working on this right now where you can, as long as you've connected a contact like this, then button text, description text can actually be customized. However, I want to show you guys there's a very easy way to break this and do some things wrong. Where if I make this button and the button says like this, right? First name, first dot name, click here. So if I have it say that and no contact is associated here, the button is going to say this and it's going to look broken because I didn't do the UX correctly. Like I didn't associate the contact. So this is one limitation to that feature that we're having to sort of build some stuff around because we don't want you guys to do this by accident. So we're going to have to build some kind of features, but we talked about it already, some safety, some guide rails, if you will, where you don't do this by accident. And just in case there's no first name, something will show up there. Like it'll say, you click here, something like that. So Jai, excellent question. And it's really good timing because I just had this conversation last week, but not currently supported, Jai. So the token on the description wouldn't be personalized right.
yeah, I appreciate that because what I've been doing is sometimes I forget to say click the button,
Yep.
and Rob had mentioned that I can record a little segue, like a
Mhm.
little ending part,
Yep.
which I did, but then I couldn't figure out how to add it on because a lot of time I do things for the mobile, I couldn't figure
Yeah.
out how to add it on. I can do it from the desktop.
Yeah. So on mobile, you'd have to import the clips. So on your cell phone, you'd have to download the video. Like if this is your video and this is the second part,
Yeah,
download those to your phone and then come to the recorder,
and then just add that closing part in.
click the
That's what I
folder,
did.
and then do clips. And then you can merge those two clips together. Yep.
Okay, all right. But I kind of like the way on the desktop 'cause
Yeah.
it's like a little bubble.
I'm more used to merging on the desktop as
Yeah,
well. Works both though. Both are available.
yeah. I
All
appreciate it.
right. Thank you, Jai. Good stuff.
Hey, did you get my email?
Not yet. Is
Yeah,
it
no,
today?
no, no.
I haven't.
About old boys over at Hey Jen. They want to talk to you.
Yeah. I responded back. I responded back to
Oh, you
Jai.
talked to him?
Yeah. Well, I not today, but I talked to them like last week.
Oh, good, 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 good. We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, they're working on some API. Guys, what we're talking about, just FYI, HeyGen, right, is one of the AI cloning tools. They make a great AI clones. We're talking to them right now to figure out some sort of automatic importing. Like if you wanted to give a spreadsheet of contacts and have HeyGen make a bunch of AI videos and then to automatically import those into Dubb for automations. That's the goal. The limit right now is their APIs don't support the automatic creation, download, import into a third party. So we're waiting for them for essentially to upgrade their APIs to support this. So it should be soon though, because I know they're working on it. It's not just us that is asking for that. So
appreciate you, Derek. See, you always looking out for me.
got it. You got it. That's what these sessions are
Hey,
for.
hey, and the last thing, what my workflow for Dubb? I'm ready to start promoting.
We're working on it. I think we're through 3 or 4 emails. Our buddy Rob is taking helm on that. I think we got 3 emails drafted. We're going to do some final sort of QA on them, but we'll share them with you guys soon.
I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Good.
And don't forget my landing pages too.
You got it. You got it.
And videos in Texas. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Got it. Okay. Well, Jai, thank you. I'm going to keep moving along here. As I mentioned, order that they received. Tony, my friend, you're next. Can I book an appointment with the contact inside the CRM? Tony, turn your mic's here. Explain that further for me. What do you mean?
Well, I'm looking at a contact. Actually, it's George's, and he's wanting to know if we can, inside a contact, Joe Schmo, where it has all their information, have as an activity to book an appointment.
Let me make sure
to our calendar.
I'm going to open up one of my guys here. We're going to make sure I'm on the same page. So we're in the CRM. We're looking at the CRM view like this, right?
Yep.
And your question is, can this activity, can it include if somebody booked, or is that the question?
No, I'm on this contact and I want to put them on my calendar. I'm talking to them on the phone. They say, well, let's get together tomorrow at 9 or whatever.
And are you guys using a calendar service like a Calendly or something? Or is it just, you mean like a manual add to a calendar?
Calendly.
Okay. So what I would do, like as this Dubb, this is, let's say if I wanted to book an appointment with this guy right here, what I would do is I would go to my booking page. Oops. And then I would create the booking right there in my calendar directly. That's, I think, as far as I'm aware, that's the only way to actually get the appointment into the Calendly or the whatever without the use of something like a Zapier.
Okay.
Dubb wouldn't have the ability to pass over exact contact details directly from a CRM view, because like, how do we select the time? How do we select the day, the Zoom link, like all those things that are sort of done in this graphical interface of a Calendly. So to answer your
question, so it couldn't be on it couldn't be an activity you click on it takes you to your Calendly.
I guess technically, let me think about that for a second. When you say activity too, are you meaning specifically like a past thing that in the activity feed?
Well, if you go to a contact, there's a place where it says select activity.
Select, like right here?
Yeah. What if you put a link there to my calendar?
Okay. So these guys are just the different types of logs that you can create. So if I leave a note, it opens the note field. If I leave a call, it creates a call field. But so no, it wouldn't be possible to put a link to a calendar here. I think if you wanted a direct link to a calendar here, I think the easiest thing to do would just be create a custom property that's called calendar and then populate it with your calendar link. So that way, every view that you see, one of these fields is going to say calendar and it's going to have a Calendly link right there. And then you just click it, it opens it, and then you can pop their stuff into it. I think that would be the most, or otherwise it's, you pull up the Calendly and you copy and paste the stuff over to the new window that way.
But I could create a custom link that went to my Calendly or his Calendly, whoever's.
Yeah. You could create a custom property and then populate the property with that Calendly link, and it would at least be visible in this view every time you view a contact. Yeah,
that works.
A shortcut.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You got it. All right, Bill, I sent a testimonial workflow that I sent to people I know, and they opened them, but no testimonials. Bill, let me turn on your microphone really quick there. Did you get any clicks, Bill, or was it just opens?
Okay, well, I mean, you could go and look and
Yeah.
probably tell me what I did wrong. Like the first one, it looks like, 13 went out. Looks like 2 clicks. So
Mm,
I don't really still even get this, some of this stuff.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm gonna share, okay? I'm gonna share
yeah,
your
go ahead. Sure. I mean, because I'm doing something where I got my best testimonials was years ago.
Mhm.
I would set up a Zoom.
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, if you can meet him in person or in Zoom, that is going to be the best. I didn't mention that, guys, because that's not utilizing our technology. If you can meet him in person or on Zoom, those are going to be even better because then it's you're able to feed them lines and stuff. You can say, hey, that sucked. Why don't you do that again, except better? No, so definitely meet him in Zoom or person if able.
Yeah, what I did was I would send them the list of things and they could say they wanted to talk about it or not.
Yeah.
The problem with that was probably my customer that really the one I would always use that followed by the book that got rid of like 22 debts, her second mortgage, her automobile debt, and her mortgage in 7.5 years, who followed it by the book. It was like a 34-minute video.
Wow.
It was
Where'd it go?
fantastic, but nobody watched it. So what I did was I uploaded it to Dubb
Yeah.
and I edited it. I
Edited
cut
it.
out, I
Yeah.
made 10 videos out of it.
Nice.
And I started putting it like on LinkedIn and places. Well, then people watched it because, they ain't gonna watch. I know guys, and I'll watch things for an hour and a half that, in my business, what they put up.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's like, that's a minute and a half. They don't have you know, so this one I did. I said, okay, my biggest thing right now, I don't have the time. So I listen, I'll
Right.
write
Right.
everything down. 3 weeks go by, I haven't done it. It's like, shit, what
Yep.
the hell was he talking about? So I did this, I sent it out, and these people, they should give me a testimonial. There's something that's not happening.
Right. Right.
I'm
So
sure everyone on this call has the same problem.
let's
When
let's let's
when
take a
they
closer
need
look.
me, man, that they'll call me 50 times.
Right.
When I
Right.
need something from them, it's like they went in the witness protection program.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just quickly at a glance, we could see out of the 12 cent, only 2 actually clicked. Right. So that means a couple of things. One, always take a look at this subject line. I almost like this because it's what we talked about, where it's generic, right? It's not specific, where it says, "Hey, John, give me a testimonial," but it says, "Can you help me out?" That this is good and bad. I like it because it's kind of non-specific, and it can maybe what does this guy want? But if they recognize your name and they're like, "Oh well, Bill, I got everything I need from Bill right now. I can't help him. I'm too busy." So what I always recommend is if you have a result here, we would want to do some split testing. So overall, I can see this is not a cold email. This is the opposite of that. This is favorites. These are clients, right? And so this
Yeah,
is
right.
this is a pretty low click rate for that given audience type. So with that in mind, I would try a split test here. I would do a different subject, and you can see this one here didn't get any clicks. So I might even assume that some of these opens were Apple Watch, iPhone, CRM stuff. Like they weren't actual human opens. But what's really interesting is this one got a lot of clicks.
Because I cried.
That's
That's the one I cried on.
So this is really, really interesting to see that. Why did one of these have more, right? And look at the, please don't make me cry. Super interesting because it's like very vague. But I love to see that when we put something into practice and actually see the result, this is super vague, right? Like nobody has any idea what this means yet, unless they've opened up Bill's 3 previous emails and know exactly what's coming next. Nobody, right? So, and we can see the open rate, the click rate was much higher. Now, Why did they fail to give the testimonial request? That is an unknown. Bill, what I would do though is I would check the reporting and I would come back to the people here that opened, clicked, watched. And in this step, I might say, hey, I saw you did everything. What's going on? Or might even give them a text or something, because the fact that they've opened it, received it, clicked it, watched it, and still didn't take action, that's telling us this one's telling us several things. They're alive. They're opening our emails. They're responsive, but they're unwilling to do a video testimonial. So the question becomes, is there something specific about the testimonial that's not working for them? They're not able to do that. They're uncertain of. At this point, Bill, that's what I would reach out to. I would take all 11 of these guys, and if it's some duplicate reporting is possible, maybe the same guy clicked it twice, maybe he had a technical issue. We would be able to see this if we can come into the reporting and we come look at this video report and we see, oh, well, John actually clicked it 5 times. So John maybe actually tried, but something didn't work out. I'd follow up with John. But this is what we're doing, is using the reporting here to get some analytics. Easy takeaways. We can see this is our best subject line by far. The fact that it's the third one in the sequence and has 5x the open rates, best subject by far. So next workflow, I might actually put that as the first or the second one, just because it was great. I would also probably change this one. The fact that it got such low clicks means that we could do a lot better. We know we can do better being vague and being sort of interesting. So that unfortunately, we don't have a solid answer, right? Why did they not give you the testimonial request? But what I've done here is given you some feedback, Bill, as to what to do next. These guys are worth a conversation. You might find that the same guy is trying, but failed for some reason. And we also can see that this is probably our best subject line in terms of the next automation. And I think you only sent to 12 people. So let's take a look at the opens. Anybody of these 12 people that didn't get this one yet, I might send that to them separately because it got such good engagement. So that's another thing that we're doing here, is we're seeing how individual subjects, bodies, emails are performing. So we can see, Bill, this is a winner, right? You got like 100% open rate nearly on that one. But
and it's funny because just what you did kind of makes me really think now. Like the first one, hey, can you help me out? That's not me. I do stuff like, hey, come on, and I'm crying, and they're like, that's the way they know me.
Right.
But I don't know if it's, I don't want to, I think they don't know how to do the video, click the video.
Right,
I like
that could be it. And we won't know. They're like, hey, you know what? I tried clicking on it, but my video didn't appear. Because if they deny permissions, the phone is going to remember that they denied permission, and then the camera won't work. So it could be something as simple as that they were in a hurry, they clicked it, and then they said no to the permission request, and then now it just won't work, and they've opened it 5 times. Yeah. So we won't know until we go look at the reporting a little bit further. But what we also saw from the reporting is we have a winner, right? A winner that goes next time as a first email, or at least a second one. Needs to be higher up in the priority, at least I'd say, because it got great engagement. And then we have some follow-up to do, just figure out why did those 5 or 10 people fail, right? They got all the way there and then still didn't make it over. They're going to tell you something. And what also this does, guys, this is not just for testimonial collection. This is for sales, for marketing. Same exact, everything that we're talking about applies to all of that. If you had somebody go through a workflow, 10, 20, 100 people went through a workflow, they clicked, they watched, they did stuff, but they didn't book. They didn't do the ultimate action. Come talk to them, figure out why, because they're going to tell you some objections, right? If they're, oh, well, I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that. And now you have built-in objection handlers for your next email, for your next messaging, for your next playlist video, or your AI tool, right? You have objection handlers there. So you might be thinking, oh, well, I'm not ready for video yet. Don't even worry about it. You could be in your pajamas. It's not a big deal. Or it's like, oh, well, I couldn't get the camera to work. Oh, well, you know what? You can record it on your phone and then just upload it. You don't even have to record it on Dubb. But we won't know what some of those are until we've gotten some feedback from people that are, because they said yes multiple times, right? They said yes to the subject. They said yes to the body, yes to the thumbnail, watched the video, and then said, nah, I just can't. And so that's insightful, right? They have some special insight for us we want to collect from them. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, Marty put a good comment in here.
Yeah,
It's
I was
true. I
just
mean,
reading that as well. Bill, your particular audience is related to finance, and people might not want to talk about, yeah, I was crazy in debt up to my eyeballs and I couldn't handle my finances, and now I'm a financial advisor. Like they don't want to put that out there.
yeah,
So
you know, that woman I told you about is funny.
yeah,
On the video, and it's one of her videos, she holds up an Excel spreadsheet. She
right.
goes, "Look, these were all my debts,
Yeah,
and they're all gone." And you don't know. Everyone's different, but not everybody is debt related. Some are just business related. Hey, I was able to do this because of what I learned.
right.
But it's really, I guess, investing more time and being a little funny. Like I had put earlier, and Jai said something. The next one's going to be, "Hey, I'm going to come in and break your face."
You're like
Something.
what? Something. No, guys, it's we say it kind of tongue in cheek, but the reality is we have to be interesting. You have to be polarizing, not negatively, but you have to do something different to stand apart from the noise. There's just too much of it these days, guys. Everyone has their agendas, their own things, and then they have a million external things trying to compete for their attention as well. So, and we just saw it, right? We tried to be straightforward. Hey, I could use some help. I could use your support. Please do me a favor. Crickets. And you're like, I'm crying. And they're like, what? I want to see drama, crying. Like everyone's that's just to show that that's what people need. They need something interesting, something different. Back to Ruben's point that he started with today, the emotional, the human component, right? They won't know unless they do, unless we show, unless we tell. And that's a huge part of what we're doing in these trainings, in video, and should be doing in our business, is making that emotional connection. And then Bill, you and Marty made some good points. It could just be that this story is difficult for them to tell. But Bill, that would probably be my number one thing is, some people, like the lady, she gave a 30-minute interview. So it's not unheard of. It's not out of the question for people to provide this story. So then it's just becoming, what is the objection as to why they don't want to? Maybe it's something super simple. Maybe it's something not so simple. And one of the suggestions, Marty, maybe voice, maybe it's anonymous. And you say, hey, I can use an AI. You just give me your words and I'll give you an AI avatar instead. So, but we won't know. Maybe that's not their problem. Maybe it was something else. So,
Well, I think what she said, it kind of makes me think, because I have several people that did 20, half an hour videos.
yeah,
It was a conversation.
right.
And maybe that, because if I asked every one of these people, one guy told me a year and a half ago, yeah, I got to do it. I'm going to do it, whatever. Well, meanwhile, here I am a year and a half later. If I went to him, he'd do it.
Yeah.
So there's something that's holding them up.
Right. Have a close conversation, guys. I know this is a little bit difficult. And this is why we do the coachings. This is why I want to meet you guys in Zooms, and why I want it, because it's the same thing. It can be a difficult part, like speaking to clients that have already closed and done things, and you're trying to, it's a little bit selfish, right? Like, hey, I'm trying to grow my business and I need your help to do it. But have these conversations, guys, with your ICPs, with your best contacts, your customers. Have those conversations and see how your messages are resonating with them. See where your requests, why they might not do something, why they wouldn't be interested in a new offer or a cross sell that you have or something. Talk to your customers is my point. Become friends with them, right? That's the flywheel. That's the referral effect. So we try to practice what we preach with you guys here. We, try to give you guys all the support that we can, so that if we have a request, you'll be more likely to help us out. So anyway, thanks, Bill. Marty, always awesome contributions from your friends. So thank you as well. Guys, I think that's it for today. Unless there's any final last minute questions. Tram, I got your question there as well. If you saw my response, just email me. I'll get you that custom setup so that you can fill that out. It's a custom generated for each person. So that's why it's not like a link to it directly. Email me. I'll get one over to you from the email that you share with me. So very good. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Happy Tuesday. I will see you Tuesday or Thursday. And if you need support, fill out that open mic session. We come bring you on. Or, if worst case scenario, you can wait till the session today and have a spot. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Darius.
Thank you, Darius.
Thanks.